Let's go. Emma, look, thank you so much for joining me. So the question we ask everyone who comes to the Centre for Optimism, what makes you optimistic? What makes you feel optimistic?
In terms of what makes me optimistic, I think I'm quite optimistic by nature. Not where I don't anticipate less than ideal situations, but where I generally think that everything will be fine until it's not, and when it's not, we'll deal with it. And I think the we is really important in that. Being surrounded by the right people and finding the tools that you need to work things out is critical. I don't think that anyone really does anything alone. So my optimism, I guess, is less about me and more that I'm comfortable to ask for help and confident that I'll find the right people in whatever situation. I think that possibly comes from childhood and my upbringing. In terms of what makes me feel optimistic, not surprisingly from what I just said, people make me feel optimistic. I just think there's so many people working towards great outcomes and trying to do good in whatever aspect of their lives they can at a particular time. You've recently said that the conversation on climate change could use some optimism, and I think that I completely agree with that. And I think from my perspective, in the water industry, I feel optimistic that there's a whole industry, along with others, that is collectively, through its people, working towards a water secure future. The industry is full of knowledgeable, diverse, which I think is really important, curious and passionate people, and we're all working towards this future for tomorrow, but also critically not taking our eye off today.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. When you say being people, Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, was asked by Fareed Zakaria on CNN, how do you remain optimistic in the face of such evil? And he said, I believe in people, not just my people, but the people of the world who support us. So bang on. So look, you're a leader. You've been elected Victorian president of the Australian Water Association. May I ask you, who have been the positive leaders in your life? The bosses, the colleagues, family, mum, dad, grandparents?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about this a lot, and it's a combination, I think, of I've had some fantastic bosses. I've had some fantastic people that I've worked alongside, because I am a strong believer that leaders aren't only people that you report to, but they're sort of across organizations. Also family members. My grandpa was a really critical leader in my life. And I think that in considering what made them sort of really positive people to be around and positive leaders, I think there's a few things they had in common. One is respect and the ability to build trust with people around them. One is the belief that people are more than their current situation or their current role. And finally, confidence to promote other people and to promote other people's ideas, not just their own.
That's yeah. Oh, it's uplifting. So tell us more about your role as the Victorian president of the Australian Water Association. I'm a member, so I have to give that away. But so tell us, what does the job involve, and what makes you get up every day and lead the industry?
Yeah, look, the pleasure that I have as the president is bringing the fantastic committee together to drive the AWA strategy in Vic, through events, through connecting water professionals across the state, also connecting with partners and members, hearing what we as the AWA can do for our members and for the industry, and working with the fantastic AWA team, mostly based out of Sydney, but we've got a fantastic member engagement manager in Victoria, Natasha. Really exciting year coming up. We've got Ozwater moving to Melbourne in 2024. So that's going to be fantastic in terms of highlighting our members and the great work that they're doing with the people that work for them.
So you see lots of good stories, and we love sharing good stories. So what are the brightest stories out of the water utility sector in the AWA?
Yeah, look, I think from my perspective, there's always fantastic things, as you said, coming out of the utility space. I think a couple of examples are around how utilities are adopting and scaling innovation and technology to support the industry in meeting macro scale challenges, climate change, population growth, aging assets, customer expectations. I think that as an industry and the people within the industry are really measured and careful about how we deploy technology. So not just deploying things because it's the next cool thing, but making sure that it is going to benefit the industry today, but also set the industry up for tomorrow. I think another fantastic step forward is utilities' focus on reconciliation with traditional owners to jointly foster meaningful relationships and deliver shared goals in protecting and preserving the water resources for future generations. And leading on from that as well, looking at nature-based solutions. So how can we ensure that we are delivering for customers, but doing it in a way that is delivering really good outcomes for our environment and communities as well.
And the last question I've got, you work at Iota.
I do.
And my dear friend Dan Sullivan, we worked in Latin America together, runs it. So I have a great confidence in the leadership of your organization. So, we're always hearing new innovations coming out of Iota. Can you give us a hint on what's next over the horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're working on a few really fantastic things at the moment. We operate a portfolio of innovations, all proven within Southeast Water's network. So trying to de-risk those innovations for the rest of the industry. We are working with RMIT and Southeast Water and the IWN on a Pyrocco plant. So it is a biosolids to biochar process that is certainly going to be game-changing.
Looking forward to it. Look, thank you for joining me. As you know, every day I'm uplifted by asking people what makes them optimistic. And if I can do it with people in the same sector that I work in, the water sector, it's even more uplifting. So, Emma, thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.